Morning, everybody, and welcome back to Crypto Warehouse. My name is Mike. Today is the 29th of May. It's 11 a.m. as always, and we have a very busy show. I was going to start with a different line, but no, we'll go straight to it. We're going to have a look at Mt. Gox. What does that mean for the price of Bitcoin? Is it scary? Is it not? We're going to look at what Semler has done. We're going to go through the New York Attorney General and why they are a meanie. We're going to look at Phantom's partnership with Google, or should I say Google's provision of services to Phantom. We're going to look at altcoins to rip, which ones, and we're going to look at Fibonacci. Now, we're going to look at Fibonacci not from the point of view of chart analysis, but I'm actually going to go through what Fibonacci is. I've left it to the end of the show. It might take me 10 minutes, it might take me 20 minutes, but it is there. And we're going to go through it as best we can. And I'm going to try and explain it as simply as possible, using pictures as well. So, without further ado, good morning to those of you in chat discussing drinking wine at 11 o'clock in the morning. No better way to start the day. Mag started it all off by talking about being ready to watch the show with wine, although he does mean coffee. Good morning to only you. Kishan is in chat. Velvet Rope, Hidden Agendas. Diablisky has joined. For now, I'm drinking water. Maybe after Bitcoin reaches 150,000, I'll open the bottle of Portuguese wine from 1979. I bet that will taste absolutely delicious. Good morning to you all. Before we get into any of the news, we are going to go through the markets, and we're going to go through some X-Files, which we kind of do at the start of every show. These are news snippets. Good morning, Danny. Now, you'll see Bitcoin is at 67.8. We have been rejected twice in the last few hours from 69,000. So I'm going to have a quick look at the Bitcoin chart today. We have some charts to look at today, and I haven't included them in my agenda. So I'm going to have to go and collect them as we go. So we're going to look at Bitcoin. We're probably going to look at Phantom. We're probably going to look at another one. I don't know what we're going to look at, but we're going to look at some charts today. So Bitcoin is coming in at 67.8. Ethereum is at $3,800. Total market cap, I don't think this has been updated, is just over 2.55 trillion. Volume is down ever so slightly. Bitcoin dominance, ETH dominance haven't really moved. 52.3 and 18%. So not really a lot to go through in the last 24 hours at least. Gainers then, Celestia is up 15%. Dog with Hat is up 12%. Shiba. Decentraland, that's unusual for Decentraland to come. I haven't even seen that in the gainers or losers for ages. Injective, Bonk is up, and a few others are up 3 or 4%. So not too bad. Losers, not too many. Pepe is down a touch. Remember, Pepe's at all-time highs. Expect profit taking. Arweave, Athena, Pendle, not many losers, not many gainers. So do not worry about that too much. I think that's pretty much it from the markets. I don't want to go into this in too much depth because I have a funny feeling that the Fibonacci thing is going to take some time. So I'm going to try and go a little bit faster at the start of the show. Remember, if you are new here, bottom right hand corner, middle of your screen, bottom left, wherever it is, smash the like button, hit the follow button, press the thumbs up, do whatever it is that you need to do to give us a follow. 133,000, bottom left hand corner, number of followers, 74,000 is still my target, and we are Stardust. That is the theme of the show today. And we're not going to get to that theme until we get to the end of the show. So let's start with the X-Files then. Just in, Mexican billionaire Ricardo Salinas says buy Bitcoin and keep them. Pay attention. There you go. There's a very rich man telling you to buy Bitcoin. Now, why would he tell you to buy Bitcoin? Probably because he's already bought the amount of Bitcoin that he needs to satisfy his Bitcoin urge. And we should believe him, shouldn't we? He's a billionaire after all. So now this account, this Dan Crypto Trades, he's kind of come out of nowhere. I believe he's Dutch, and he has started to be followed by an awful lot of people. And he provides really good information. And he's really good to follow, not just for liquidations and charts and things like that, but his overall market analysis is very, very good. So he has said here, Bitcoin, the big orders above have got pulled. I suspect they did their job by suppressing price, so now they could get pulled. So these orders here, the yellow and green lines, are massive orders, and they have kept the price down. As you can see, what happened when the orders disappeared, the price came back up. So the price has been suppressed in his opinion. And again, he has posted a little bit more detail underneath, but also a very good X account to follow if you want to kind of like, he doesn't post every day. He posts maybe 5 times a week, worthy of any note anyway. So go and check him out on X. Next up then we have the Jupiter LFG Launchpad. I made a video about this on Monday, I think it was Monday anyway. Again, all kinds of confusion going on. They really haven't got this right. The launch pool link has been put up. I've gone to see it. It told me I had 10 UPT tokens. That isn't the allocation. It's, again, the communication is wrong. And there are people under the video commenting on my video saying, why are you complaining? This is the first time anyone has ever done anything like this. You shouldn't complain, it's all free. I completely reject that argument, totally. These projects are getting massive exposure. These tokens end up on the exchange that you are on because of the exposure, because of the market cap, and they are not free. They are rewards from you staking your dupe. So I reject that entirely. If you're going to do something, irrespective of whether it's free or not, you should damn well do it properly. And they haven't, because their on-screen description of what this is not right. The only reason I know this is because I am in the Discord channel. You didn't vote for the first LFG. Well, we're on LFG 3, so hopefully you voted for number 2 and number 3, and you'll get those tokens over time. Also, at the end of June, there's going to be a massive airdrop, and all of the 50 million dupe, all of the WEN, all of the other tokens that have been collected over the course of the last 3 months are all going to be airdropped to you in July. So keep that in mind. July is a big month for dupe and claiming your tokens. Oops, let's move on very quickly. 11:07. Time flies on this stream. So just in, 725 billion asset class manager Bernstein predicts Bitcoin will hit $90,000 in 2024 and $150,000 in 2025. Now, I don't know what the price of Bitcoin is going to be. I think the $90,000 this year is fairly accurate. So what we at 668? No, we're 30%. Yeah. Anyway, I think 90,000 is on the table for this year. Good morning, Tariq. I don't know where the price of Bitcoin is going to go in 2025. It could be 150. We could see the supply shock that I've been telling everybody about for the last 6 months. And remember, I'm not the only person talking about the supply shock. Everybody's talking about the supply shock that's in crypto. The supply shock, what is that? The number of Bitcoin and now the number of Ethereum on exchanges is falling to very low levels. When we run out of Bitcoin and Ethereum on exchanges, one of two things has to happen. The price goes up or the demand falls. It's simple mathematics. One of those two things has to happen. Good morning to Kabir. Good morning to Tariq and Danny. I think I've already given you a shout out. If you are in chat, say hello. Let me know who you are and where you are from. We are live. This is not a pre-recording and this is certainly not an AI voice, which I'm never going to forget and I'm always going to bring up. Somebody accused me of being an AI voice. So you'd have to go and find a very strange individual to create this type of voice. So then, crypto markets decline amid Mt. Gox jitters, should I say. So wallets linked to the defunct crypto exchange, moved $9 billion worth of Bitcoin on May the 28th. Good morning, Solo Sky. And again, I think the threat is worse. I think the bark is worse than the bite with this one. Everybody out there who hasn't been in crypto is expecting all $9 billion worth of Bitcoin to be sold on day one. That is not going to happen. This is more, I wouldn't call it FUD. This is more fear. Good morning, Johnny. This is more fear of what the worst potential outcome could be. Now, there was a questionnaire that was asked of the people who had shares of this $9 billion. And I believe 60 to 70% have said that they're not going to sell. So if you take out $6 billion, for argument's sake, then there's a $3 billion sale of Bitcoin potentially on the horizon. But of the people who are holding their Bitcoin, I wouldn't expect $3 billion to be sold on day one, so I wouldn't worry about it. Once the world's largest Bitcoin exchange, Mt. Gox, collapsed in 2014 after a massive hack resulted in the loss of thousands of Bitcoin. Now, there is a good story worth checking out about the guy who ran off with the money. And he was a very high-level programmer within Mt. Gox, but he also had, and I can't remember if it was Asperger's or something like that, but he had a mental illness, and they believe that he stole the Bitcoin. But he's such a clever guy, no one's ever going to find it, and he disappeared. Never went to prison or anything else like that. It's a really interesting story. Maybe I'll do it in the show one day. So markets sold off as investors anticipated the possible liquidation of these holdings. Bitcoin is down 3%, ETH, Solana dropping 2%. Yeah, I mean, this every time this is brought up, the markets do respond negatively. Kabir has said, your voice makes you sound younger. Believe it or not, Kabir, I know I look about 70 years of age, but I am actually only in my 40s. Soon to be 50s, by the way. Data from CoinGlass shows the rising popularity of meme coins. I don't know why we're going on about that. Let's forget that bit for now. Michael van der Pot, CEO of MN Trading, believes the market is quite boring. No breakout happening for Bitcoin as 70,000 was rejected, and we've just seen 69,000 rejected today. You're going to hear people talk about Mt. Gox as the days go by. I wouldn't worry about it too much. It is not the end of the world. It's not the end of the world. I mean, okay, what happens if $2 billion worth of Bitcoin is sold? The price comes down a little bit, and then guess what? The price will come back up. It's just the way it is. So we're moving sideways. What is going on with these charts? I think the boy wonder has been playing with crypto today. There we go. Okay, so what happened today? Let's go through the charts very quickly. That 73,781 is my top goal, which is 74,000. We have been rejected off a couple of targets recently, but what I want to show you is what has happened today, and that is that we have been rejected off 69,000, which is here. Let me show you where we are now. So pretty much there. If you look, since we tried to come back to this on Friday, we have struggled. We cannot seem to break this level here. Why is this? Oh my word, he's changed the colour of the pen. Right, okay, doesn't matter. We are being rejected at 69,000. We were being rejected at 70,000. Again, we can put another line in there just to show you. Which is about there. So we're being rejected at 69. We couldn't break above 70. So we're going to come back down, probably to bounce off 67.6 seems to be the level. So the problem with the charts is very simple. We don't know whether the ETFs are going to wake up today and choose violence and war and go for it. We don't know whether there's going to be a 3,000 or a 4,000 Bitcoin order put in today. If we have the same day as yesterday, and I'm not going to change the colour of, I can't be bothered doing it during the live stream, but we are going to get back towards 69, probably get rejected again, and then we're going to break up, probably get rejected off 70,000, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to range between where we are and 70,000, and hopefully we will range for a while because we want to form some level of support at this price. We don't want to break down. We've had a lovely surge back up from the lows at 61. Remember, we held 60. Nobody expected us to hold 60, and we did. We broke up. We broke past this 66,000 range. That's the range that Van der Pop is talking about. We are now sitting at this range here, which is 68 to 70,000. Let me just bring that down. We're about there now, and that's good. That's fine. Let's get some level of resistance, some level of support on there, and we're all good. The RSI isn't too overly bought, too overly sold. It's not a bad daily chart. I know we're ranging, but we can't have everything we want. Otherwise, we wouldn't. What would we get for Christmas? Think about that. Right then, what's next? Where are we? 11:16. I used to think Brogan did the show based on my voice. I know. It's one of those things. I sound a lot younger than I am. So, Semler Scientific acquires $40 million in Bitcoin. Stocks surge 32%. They bought 581 Bitcoin, signaling strong confidence in digital assets. Ask yourself a question if you're thinking about selling Bitcoin. Why are you thinking of selling Bitcoin when all the big boys, all the billionaires, all the companies are buying? It makes no sense whatsoever. So hold on to your Bitcoin and expect a huge rip. Not going to happen today, but over the course of the next 16 months, we're going to see massive price swings in Bitcoin, and the majority of those price swings will be to the upside. So, talking about this, our Bitcoin treasury strategy and purchase of Bitcoin underscore our belief that Bitcoin is a reliable store of value and a compelling investment, said Eric Semler. Bitcoin is now a major asset class with more than $1 trillion of market value. We believe it has unique characteristics as a scarce and finite asset that can serve as a reasonable inflation hedge and safe haven amongst global instability. This is what Bitcoin is trying to solve, is the inflation hedge problem. Gold has failed. No matter how much Peter Schiff tries to push gold, it has failed. Over the last 20 years, especially over the last 5 years, it has completely failed as an inflation hedge. Gold should be 20 or 30% higher than it is today, and it isn't because it's failed. Bitcoin will replace gold. If you don't believe me, look at what Peter Schiff says on X. He doesn't focus on his own business. He focuses on bashing Bitcoin, and that's a sign of jealousy and of fear. Good morning, Fran. Welcome to the stream. Remember, smash the like button. Apparently, typing in chat and smashing the like button helps the algorithms, so please do that. So their stock is up 32.4%, and again, you're going to see this in the news all the time, and I'm going to cover it as much as I can. So the recent news about Semler Scientific adds more Bitcoin to the totally owned by public companies. Currently, the group owns 312,000 Bitcoin. According to Bitcoin Treasuries, the amount is equivalent to $21.3 billion, 1.5% of the total supply. That is going to absolutely crank up over the next few years. There is something else that I want to talk about today that isn't in the show, and now it's really a good time to talk about it. Only You, there's an interview I watched. Peter Schiff regrets not buying Bitcoin at $150 since then. Absolutely, Peter Schiff regrets it. And the irony is that Peter Schiff's son is a Bitcoin maxi. That's the irony of it all. Now, there is one thing. How can I... Oh, sorry, I forgot to tell you what the question is today. Good point. I couldn't change it. It had gone. Are ETFs good or bad for crypto? That's the question today. 91% so far have said yes. 9% have said no. So if they're good for crypto, Fran, you should say yes. If they're bad for crypto, you should say no. Now, there is a lot of scaremongering going on amongst influencers. I watched a video last night from Crypto Crow, and he raised many valid points about why ETFs are bad for crypto. And the long and short of it is, Bitcoin is very difficult to control because it's proof of work, because it's decentralized, because it is a commodity, if you like. It's like oil, it's like gold, it's mined, digitally mined. But what about Ethereum? What about Cardano? What about Solana? Proof of stake chains. That proof of stake chains can be modified if you hold enough. So if you hold 60% of one token, you can pretty much decide how you want that direction to go. That's the existential threat to the likes of Ethereum. What happens? There's 120 million Ethereum. What happens if BlackRock and Fidelity own 40 million? They get a third of the voting rights of Ethereum. Is that a threat? There are a few things that can happen that would stop them from being able to do that. The chain can change the way that the Treasury works. They can change the voting from the number of Ethereum held to the validators, so each validator gets a vote. They can change the way that the DAO works. They could stop certain elements from voting. There are ways and means of doing it from the chain end, but there's also ways and means of doing it from the ETF end as well. If there's enough political pressure put on the government in America, the voting in America. Good morning, Peter. Welcome back to the show. Imagine a situation where Donald Trump is being given millions and millions of dollars to win the next election. There is a possibility to stop ETFs from being able to vote. That's the simple stop. You can turn around. The way that BlackRock manipulates businesses is by taking a controlling interest in that business. And that's what they do. Go and read about it. That isn't a conspiracy theory. That's exactly what happens. So BlackRock might own 25 or 30% of a business, and they will sack the CEO if the CEO doesn't direct the company in the direction they want it to go. Not a conspiracy theory, fact. BlackRock could control Ethereum. There is nothing stopping it right now. If BlackRock goes and buys enough Ethereum, they will control the blockchain. Now, from both ends, you can stop that from happening. Political pressure on the government, political pressure on the SEC is one direction. The other direction is to do it. It's the same with quantum physics and quantum computing. That's an existential threat at this moment in time to some of the blockchains. But fixes can be put in place, and there are blockchains which can stop quantum attacks. So don't worry when you start to see things about, BlackRock is going to control Ethereum, or BlackRock is going to take over Solana, and Ethereums are bad for ETFs and bad for crypto. No, they're not, because that's the worst case scenario. It's the same with CBDCs. CBDCs, you are presented with a situation, a scenario where you're told that they can freeze your bank account and they can do this and they can do that. That is taking it to the nth degree. And yes, in places like China, that happens. In Western society, if there is a collective agreement that those things can't happen, it isn't the CBDC that is bad. It is the abuse of power that is bad. That's the difference. ETFs as a mechanism, as a tool, as an investment vehicle are not bad. The outcome of that and the control by BlackRock and Fidelity is potentially what could be bad. So don't fret that Solana and Cardano are going to be swamped. It's not necessarily going to get to that point. And believe you me, Ethereum and Solana certainly will not want a situation where they are centrally controlled. So things can be changed. Vitalik himself is looking to copy some of the features of the Cardano proof-of-stake system. Because, again, the problem with Vitalik is he's naive. And the problem with a lot of people in crypto is they're naive. And that naivety comes from their age. And I don't want to sound like I'm being ageist. But when you've got a 21 or 22-year-old in charge of a $100 billion or $50 billion company, they should surround themselves with experienced heads. That doesn't mean 60-year-olds. It means 30-year-olds, 35, 40-year-olds who've been through it, who can see the. You can just take a look at the way that governments implement laws. They don't think things through, and loopholes are found because they haven't got the experience to tie those loopholes off. Vitalik should never have allowed the proof-of-stake system that he introduced to be controlled by Lido. There should have been a cap figured out by the techies in the company to stop Lido from being able to control so much of the supply, but they didn't. And now they're going to try and fix it. So Lido has actually been a great warning to Ethereum about what the potential of BlackRock could do. So don't fret, don't worry about it. Only you has said, exactly, the manipulation of the elements are real, precisely. So let's not worry too much about it. So the New York AG says she will go after crypto companies who don't play by the rules. What we want to hear. This is what we want to hear. We don't want the New York AG saying she will go after crypto companies, full stop. We don't want bad actors. Bad actors bring crypto into disrepute. Alex Mashinsky should be in jail. Sam Bankman-Fried is in jail. Who else have we got? Do Kwon. There's an argument about whether he should be in jail. There are bad actors and there are people who shouldn't be allowed near crypto. So she is absolutely correct. Letitia James is issuing a warning to crypto companies saying she will pursue those who act in violation of the law. In a post on the social media platform X, she says her sights are locking on airing digital asset firms. Crypto companies must play by the same rules as everyone else. We will go after those that don't. Absolutely spot on. The warning comes after they reached a $2 billion settlement with Genesis. Besides the financial penalty, the settlement banned Genesis from operating in New York. Now, again, my issue with America is you have a bankrupt company and the US government sues them for $2 billion. That $2 billion doesn't go to the people it is supposed to. It goes to them. The SEC sues a company and wins $500 million, $600 million. The money goes to the SEC. It doesn't go to anybody who has been damaged by this. It goes to the SEC. It goes to their bank account. It fills their coffers. It lets them employ more lawyers to sue more people. It's not the way things should be done. Okay, so Genesis customers' funds have been locked since November 2022. In October 2023, they sued Genesis for whatever it might be. They tried to hide the losses. We know. We want her to do a fair job. That is all we want. We don't really care about whether they are going to go after them, fines or whatever, but we don't want a situation where she's going after legitimate businesses. That is the problem. Now, Phantom doesn't get much of a mention on this channel very often. We do cover it from time to time. We normally talk about the Phantom wallet, which is not the same thing. Phantom, some people have called a zombie chain or a dead chain, and that's mainly because of the developers that are building on it, the activity on the chain. When it came out, what would it have come out? 3 years ago, 4 years ago? I don't know. Many moons ago, Phantom came out, and it was really cool. It has kind of Halloween-related names for its different projects. You know, whether it be Graveyard, whether it be ghouls, whether it be Phantom itself and ghosts, things like that. So it's a pretty cool theme behind it. And it's disappeared off the radar for a very long time. I held Phantom for a short while. I think I bought Phantom at 30 cents, 35 cents. I think I sold it. I didn't make much on it. I think I sold it about 60 cents. I got out of the chain. But anyway, they have partnered with Google Cloud to boost next-gen DApp development. So, positive news from Phantom. I hope this is Phantom I'm thinking of. So, the Phantom Foundation has announced a strategic partnership with Google Cloud to improve the development and security of decentralized applications dApps on the Phantom network. This collaboration will allow developers to access the scalable infrastructure and advanced AI capabilities of Google Cloud. They're not the first people to do this. I think we've covered AVAX, have also got deals in place with Google Cloud. My issue with Google Cloud is you're creating, or you want decentralization, but you're allowing centralization on Google Cloud. So it defeats the purpose. If Google Cloud goes down, what happens to Phantom's dApps? You don't want that. You don't want centralization of anything. And it's all well and good Google Cloud having multiple data centers around the world. That's fine. But in the past, they've gone down. So has Microsoft. It's gone down. Look at Facebook going offline, WhatsApp going offline. Google itself has gone offline for periods of time. We don't want that. It's difficult. It's difficult to find the absolute solution, but putting all of your eggs in one basket and using Google for this, it takes a decentralized, uncensorable project and puts it on top of a centralized, censorable project, which is Google. The American government can lean on Google, Google can lean on Phantom, therefore it goes under the American government's control. That's the issue that I have with all of these things. Now, it's all well and good allowing them to be built on there, but where are they going to be hosted? Google Cloud. It's just centralizing the exchanges. So, not the exchange, sorry, centralizing the blockchains. With this alliance, Google Cloud will act as a validator. As again, I think also Google have done this as well as AVAX. I think they've done it with Solana as well. They've become a validator on Solana. This participation will help scale and secure the platform network, providing a solid foundation for future growth. Google Cloud will offer $200,000 in credits over 2 years to foundation-funded Phantom dApps that move to the Sonic network. Michael Kong, he's the CEO, I wonder if people call him King, highlighted the importance of a developer-centric approach and expressed his excitement about the additional resources. Again, this is, don't get me wrong, beggars can't be choosers. This is incredible news for Phantom. And Google clearly is trying to move into the blockchain space. And it's got its AI tools, it's got its hosting solutions, it's got Solana, AVAX, now Phantom. I'm sure it's going to get more as the weeks go by. Is this bullish for Phantom, the coin itself? Yes. Because irrespective of what I think, we have to appreciate that Phantom as a coin will see a boost. Now I'm going to go and have a look at the token price and see what effect this has had on the price. 81 cents. I should have kept them, shouldn't I? So what's happened with Phantom? This is actually a really bullish chart. We were dead in the water down here. I can't highlight anything, can I? Because he's changed it to black. But as you can see, it has bounced off the bull market support band several times. It's come down, and now we are sitting at just under the next fib level there, which is about 88 cents. However, let's zoom out to appreciate where Phantom has been in the past, because this kind of shows you a lot of the coins that you're seeing ripping. If you look at the if you look at the daily or the 12-hour, the 4-hourly charts, things always look bullish. Let's go back to the previous bull cycle. It reached $3.30. That's only, believe it or not, it's only a 4x from where we are now. Can Phantom get back to those prices? if the chain gets developers on board. Again, all of these blockchains are in competition with each other. If Phantom wants people to build, they have to bribe developers and development teams to go and build on their chains. As well as getting the grants from Phantom, they're getting $200,000 or up to $200,000 worth of services from Google. So there's a lot of incentive there for a team. If you've got a team of 4 or 5 developers and you're given a $400,000 or $500,000 grant and $200,000 worth of Google services, you're looking between 5 or 6 developers, you're looking at $500,000 or $600,000 worth of value. That's enough to bring people over and start building on Phantom, especially if things are transportable. If you can build and find chains that use the same type of code base, Brogan talks about it an awful lot on his one, whether it be Rust or whatever it might be, you can build the same dApp and apply it to multiple blockchains, so you can then create a multi-chain dApp that then adds value to your own business as well as adding value to Phantom or whatever else it might be. So it's looking bullish. I would look, if this does rip, I'd look at no higher than 173, 174. I'm not going to hold Phantom. I am not going to buy Phantom. For me, this isn't my kind of project, but I would recommend going to check it out. It's actually really cool. Phantom is a really cool project, but it didn't live up to the hype. Now, this might change. Again, things can't be taken out of context. Reviewing it today does not mean that Phantom isn't going to be a top 20 chain in 2 years' time. They can turn themselves around. I spoke about it yesterday with AVAX. I wasn't a fan of AVAX 18 months ago. Now I can see that they have a strategy for moving forward. There are chains which move in and out of the spotlight, and if Phantom moves into the spotlight, it's going to break $1. It could go to $1.73. There's no reason that it can't. But for me, it's a no. I'm not gonna be in on Phantom. Now then, we have got plenty of time to look at this article, look at another chart, and also then look at Fibonacci. So the Fibonacci bit at the end of the show is nothing to do with crypto and everything to do with why we use Fibonacci when we look at patterns. But before we get there, let's go through this. So altcoins poised to rip in first major market expansion since 2021, according to a crypto analyst. Here is his outlook. Well, here we go. Let's see what we have on this. A popular crypto analyst says technical indicators are suggesting altcoins are about to go parabolic. Always take the word parabolic with a pinch of salt. Again, we talk about these price targets. Kabir wonders why I bring them up. I'm trying to warn you off believing everything you read online. Synonymous analyst Tech Dev tells his 422,000 followers he is somebody that has decent amounts of knowledge, so I'm not going to poo-poo this one. He has suggested that several indicators suggest that the crypto market is replicating a 2020 pattern that led to the massive bull cycle. The entire crypto market has just begun its first macro bullish expansion in 3.5 years. This is what we want to see. The analyst's 2-month chart of the total market cap suggests digital assets appear ready for a huge breakout. The trader's chart uses the Bollinger Bands, BB, a price volatility gauge that often sees its upper and lower bands contract when volatility has been low and therefore likely to increase. The chart suggests that the indicator has contracted to similar levels that preceded huge moves to the upside in 2020. Bullish Bitcoin consolidation at prior all-time high, which is what we've got right now. 69,400-ish was our previous all-time high. We've been in or around that now for a fair old while. We did rip to the upside. 73.8 was where we got to, but we have been ranging between 67.8, 67.6 and 70,000, and of course 69.4 sits right in the middle of that. So we are at and about the previous all-time high. The first time that has ever happened. The first time we've broken all-time highs before the halving. That is something new this cycle. Bullish Bitcoin consolidation. ETH 2-week Gosen channel green. Doge marking up. Alt market 2-month expansion. Where have we seen this before? He also says that the Bollinger Bands look bullish on the 2-month others chart, which tracks the total market cap of crypto, excluding the 10 largest digital assets. He said that the altcoin market is poised to spark steep rallies similar to the ones witnessed in 2016 and 2021. Now remember, I think we are not going to see this until 2025. I think we're going to finish the year at decent prices. People are going to think it's time to cash in your chips because we're likely to have a lull at the start of next year. Then maybe by April we start to rip again. What coincides with that? Donald Trump becoming the next president of America, all bar a disaster. Who's going to stop him? Who's going to stop Donald Trump? So he comes in February. By April, we'll have a new SEC. And then I think maybe we top April, May. Then we have another lull. And then top in November. We might get a double top this cycle like we had last cycle. Last cycle, the reason for the double top was, of course, the pandemic. This cycle, it could be completely different. Even though we are in a different cycle, in a different year, patterns happen. And that's what we're going to talk about in Fibonacci as well. Patterns happen in human nature, in the universe, patterns happen. So I'm not saying we're going to have a double top, but the Ethereum ETF is going to help us this year. The reduction in interest rates is going to help us this year. So could we see the $90,000 Bitcoin by the end of this year or November this year? Absolutely, because the indications are that we're going to get interest rate cuts. Now, it might not be in the summer, but we are going to get them this year. That puts risk on assets on green, which means money will come into riskier assets. Bitcoin being seen as Wall Street would indicate as a risk on assets. So Bitcoin will get an end of year pump, 80,000, 90,000 potentially. Next year, March, April, we get the Donald Trump effect on the markets. That could then rip us up in April. We could have the summer lull and another November rip. It is a scenario. I don't have a crystal ball, but these things can happen. And don't forget, we have the supply shock. That supply shock for Ethereum is going to get worse with the ETF. The Bitcoin supply shock is a ticking event. I can't say certain words. A ticking event in the future. When are we going to see the panic about this supply shock for Bitcoin? That's the question. Give it another year. That's another 200,000 or 300,000 Bitcoin less on exchanges than we've got today. We're suddenly down to 600,000, 500,000 Bitcoin on exchanges. Suddenly we might only have a year's worth of Bitcoin left on exchanges. Something has to break. It's like Buckaroo all over again. So alts are going to rip. According to TechDev, there's a good chance that they're going to rip. Now I've got time for another chart before we look at the fibs. So I'm going to have a quick look at Solana, because just before we came live, I was notified that Solana had ripped to the upside. Or it hadn't ripped, it had moved up today. So let's go and have a look and see if we did. I don't think we're too much higher. Again, we're sitting around these levels that we talk about. And again, we don't redraw these charts between streams. You can see the lines that we have drawn. You can see that they're either attached to fib levels or they're attached to previous price action. We are sitting below my next level, which again, I need to change the color of this line, don't I? Look at that. Figured it out. Let's not go for white today. Let's be risky and go for yellow. So what's my price target? $174 is where we need to break. And if you look, we were above here. We used it as support for a while over here. We broke out here. We couldn't hold it. We came back down and now we're stuck under it. So at some point, we're going to break this level, 174. Now, if we break 174, where do we need to get to? Well, this level here is about 190, but really, we'll ignore that one for now. $200 after we break 174, $200 for me. It's going to happen. It's going to happen. It's a matter of time. a matter of time. There are already low amounts of Bitcoin, but lots of Ethereum. Yes, Kabir, there are lots of Ethereum, but wait till you see the amount that's being drawn down. We're talking about tens of thousands of Ethereum are being taken off exchanges, and that can't continue. And the issue now, I'll tell you what the problem is. The problem is, we know we're getting the Ethereum ETF. Irrespective of when we are getting it, we are getting it. So you, me, Peter, everybody watching out there will be picking up Ethereum now, because you know it's going to happen. So irrespective of whether we get the ETF in June, July or November, it's going to happen. So from the minute it was approved, in fact, we can go back further. We can go back to January when the price of Ethereum started to rip. From January until now, that Ethereum has been disappearing, and that's contributed to this price pump. We're going to be over $4,000 for Ethereum before you can say boo to a goose. We're going to be at $5,000 by the time the ETF goes live, if it's 3 or 4 weeks away. Where do we go then? Because if it's a sell the news event, I think you're making a grave mistake. Taking profits is fine, but I think the Bitcoin ETF, we ran up and then we had a massive correction. If we do the same thing with Ethereum, we could be at $6,000, and then that might not be a bad idea to take some profit. I don't think we need to worry too much about the price of Ethereum moving forward. I think it's going to go up, and I think the number on exchanges is going to come down, and the supply shock for Ethereum may come before the supply shock for Bitcoin. Bear that in mind. Now, Solana, which we're looking at right now. Why is Solana so important? Because I would put my mortgage, which isn't a lot, but I would put my mortgage on Solana being the next ETF. I wouldn't put it on Cardano or XRP or AVAX or even Litecoin. I would put it on Solana. Now, if Solana becomes the next ETF, Solana is going to break $500, $600, and it's going to break $300 the second that the Ethereum ETF goes live. Remember what I say all the time. Traders are like little kids with toys. You pass him the fire engine, and that's your Bitcoin ETF, and he plays with the fire engine. Then you pass him an ambulance, and he puts the fire engine down and starts to play with the ambulance and the fire engine at the same time. That's your Ethereum ETF. And then somebody comes along with a shiny yellow New York taxi and hands it to the little 2-year-old. The little 2-year-old starts playing with the yellow taxi. That's what happens. They are always looking for the next kill. Bitcoin, Ethereum, Solana is next. It's going to annoy every other chain when it happens. Who cares? It's going to happen to them as well, but Solana will be next. It's the most natural, obvious choice. Now that we have broken the back of the SEC through the political pressure on the Democrats and the Republicans, it's gone. The SEC is a spent force. That's what we need to look at now. What's next? Next is Solana. You shouldn't be looking at Bitcoin and Ethereum. You should be looking at the next one, and the next one is Solana. And when that gets approved, we then need to decide what is going to be next. That's the key. You're going to make money on Bitcoin. You're going to make money on Ethereum. They're going to pump because of the ETF. But you're going to make more money buying the coins that haven't been suggested yet. This is why I talk about looking at chains that are not in the news. Matic, BNB, never get mentioned. BNB's at all-time highs. I remember buying BNB last year for $203. It's at $600. I've 3x'd. Nobody talks about BNB. Nobody. There's lots of chats going on. 99% of memes are on Sol. Yes, correct. Transactions on Solana are expensive now, are they? I don't pay an awful lot for my transactions on Solana. Maybe 1 cent, 2 cents, maybe. The problem with the layer 2s is you need to get people to use them. That's the issue with the layer 2s. Anyway, so for me, Solana is, I think, the next one. Now, we are going to look at something which I'm probably going to fail at explaining, but we're going to give it a go, and that is Fibonacci. Fibonacci is the one thing that I use above and beyond everything else. Now, what I'm going to do is I've got three bits of information, visual and technical, to show you. And I am not going to complicate things. I'm going to keep this as simple as possible so as many people can understand. And this is a little bit spiritual. Let's put it that way. Now, I'll have to adjust my position to talk about this. So what we're going to do is very quickly, let me just move my microphone. I need to get into position for this. This is my work stance now. So, I could go through the history of Fib, but I'm not going to. I could go through how it was used in India before anybody else really used it, but I'm not going to. I don't have the time. It is 11:51. I'm going to try and explain Fibonacci in 10 minutes. Wish me luck. So we'll go through the first part of Wikipedia. The Fibonacci sequence is a sequence in which each number is the sum of the two preceding ones. These are known as Fibonacci numbers. The sequence commonly starts with 0 and 1, although some people start it from 1 and 1. Doesn't really matter. Now, the interesting thing about Fibonacci is that it occurs in nature. It occurs in the universe. It occurs in you. It occurs in your DNA. The spiritual way of looking at things is you are part of nature. The universe is part of nature. Everything in the universe can be derived from elements in Fibonacci. Now, because you are part of nature, and because Fibonacci reflects that, you reflect Fibonacci in your interactions and how you trade, if we go back to crypto for a second. So you are a self-fulfilling prophecy. You might hear the term, you're a creature of habit. Fibonacci is just a numerical way of depicting this. And we use fib levels in crypto, which we're going to get to in a minute, to monitor humans using trading charts and buying and selling of stocks. But if we take a step back, I'm not going to go through this in too much. The Fibonacci numbers were first described in Indian mathematics as early as 200 BC. I believe it goes back further than that, although again, we're not going to talk about Anunnaki and all that kind of things going on right now, because it's not the time or the place. But if you were to believe, like Elon Musk, that we are in a matrix and we are in a computer program, then Fibonacci would be your biggest clue that we are living in a simulation, because it's a pattern that appears everywhere. So that's something to bear in mind. Now, Leonardo da Pisa, he was Fibonacci. He brought it to Western mathematics in 1200 AD. So 1400 years after the Indians were using it, basically the West, as they always do, they stole it and put their name on it, because that's what Western people did back then. And it's the same with lots of other things. If you look at electricity, if you look at the light bulb, if you look at televisions, Americans have a great habit of stealing things as well. So Fibonacci numbers appear unexpectedly often in mathematics, so much so there's an entire journal dedicated to their study. They appear in biological settings, trees, leaves, fruit sprouts, pineapples, artichokes, pine cones. I don't want to bore you with them. And there is a mathematical formula down here. Remember that swirl. That swirl is going to be important to you. So again, it runs throughout history. Whether it be India, I do believe it goes back way... If you look at the history of India, It's 6,000 years old. Don't believe them when they say it's 300 or 400 years old. India goes back. There are documented evidence of nuclear conflict in India 4,000 years ago. So India is an ancient country, ancient place. Same as China, ancient. They go back thousands of years. Fibonacci has run through their culture for as long as they've been documenting it. Same in China. Now, these are just some visual depictions of Fibonacci. Sunflowers, the universe, a cosmos, your DNA helix are all based on numbers. Storms, seashells, you see them everywhere. That is what Fibonacci is. It's a pattern that runs throughout nature. And as I've said, as well as running through nature, it runs through you, because you are, of course, stardust. That is the theme of the show today. We are all stardust. Everything that's ever existed, the 107 billion that have lived on planet Earth and the 7 billion that live on planet Earth today, or 8 billion, whatever we are now, we are all part of nature, and Fibonacci is a way of tracking it. So how is it used in crypto? It is called Fibonacci retracement levels. And what do they tell you? I'm not going to go through all of these things. Fibonacci retracement levels stem from the Fibonacci sequence, which we've just shown you, the naturally occurring pattern that's in everything in life. Each level is associated with a percentage, and that percentage is how much a price has moved. The retracements, 23.6, 38.2, 61.8, 78.6. Some people also use 50%, which is mentioned here. The numbers don't matter. The fact that they're in the pattern matters. The indicator is useful because it can draw on between any two significant price points, such as a high or low, and I'm going to draw one for you in a minute. The indicator will then create the levels between those 2 points. Suppose the price of a stock rises $10 and drops $2.36. That has a retracement of 23.6%. Now that doesn't sound anything until you see the fib levels on a chart, and then you'll realize that it actually ties in exactly with the fib levels. Fib retracement levels were named after the Italian, we've gone through that. India, we know all about that. Despite its name, its sequence, we know about this. Now, I don't want to go through the formula. That's what I'm trying to avoid in this. I want you to take away from this today that the Fibonacci is a pattern of numbers that appears throughout nature, that appears in charts. So I'm going to go and do the Ethereum chart for you and draw it how it would be worked. Right, hopefully some of you in chat will be following this. Can you leave me a comment and let me know if this makes sense? That this is a naturally occurring pattern, and therefore, because it's part of us, we project this pattern. So I'm going to go to the daily, and I'm going to show you these patterns. This is where I'm not going to be able to press undo, isn't it? So if we go to the weekly chart for Ethereum, and let's take it from around this level here. Now, if we draw from the top to the bottom, whoa, this is very janky. Hang on. I've got the magnet turned on, that's why. Right. Now, this is the fib levels of Ethereum. Now, I've just drawn this from the top close to the bottom close. I've just drawn this on the Ethereum chart. Now, what can you see without any other evidence? You can see that we have reached this fib level here, which gives you a price of 38.38. So that is an area of resistance. You can see that at this fib level, we had an area of resistance. You can also see that at this level, we had an area of support. This chart reflects beautifully how fib levels can be applied to crypto and stocks and anything, because it's a series of numbers based on nature. You are nature. You reflect and project those patterns into your reality. You manifest them. Again, I don't want to get spiritual. I'm just explaining how it works in my head. We draw fib levels on charts time and time again. Now, do bots use fib levels? Absolutely. Because bots realize that there are patterns that they can follow as well. So don't think this is just all humans pressing buy and sell. Bots are programmed to look at fib levels as well. But you can apply it to everything. It doesn't just have to be a chart. So that is why we use fib. And that is what the Fibonacci sequence is. It is just a pattern that appears in nature. Where has it gone? And it looks like that everywhere you see it. I'd recommend any one of you going and watching a 30-minute, 45-minute video about fib levels, and it will help explain. Charts are not this weird and wonderful system used by some people on YouTube that have got tattoos, wear baseball caps, scream YOLO, and say things like degen. They're just using the same patterns. There are different types of fib as well. You don't just have to use this one. You've got fib time, fib channel, fib retracement. You've got fib circles. So you've got a fib circle that looks like that. Again, all uses the same Fibonacci sequence. So there's multiple ways to look at it, but it's not as complicated as people might think, especially if you're new to crypto. You can look at this chart and go, what on earth, where have those lines come from? Those lines come from the Fibonacci sequence. That's it. And you can apply them to a chart. You pick two prices, like it said in the article. You pick the top, you draw to the bottom, you apply it. It shows you the fib things at the side. That's all you've got to look at. So if you were, for example, going to draw where are the two price actions for this, I would look there and I would look there. That's what I would look at. Again, I'm not basing it on anything other than where the fib levels are. And they are right more often than they are wrong. That's the thing. Nothing is perfect. Nothing is absolute. You do not have a 100% chance of getting this right. But if we were here and you said to me, where is the price of Ethereum going to go? I'm going to say it's in a bullish scenario. We peaked there. We're probably going to come back to the same fib level. That's what I would say to you. We've bounced off the support band and we've moved up. Same way we moved up here. That's all it is. So, brief introduction to fib. It is based on mathematics, but it's also based on mathematics interpretation of nature and patterns, and that pretty much is it. So, I'm going to read your comments for a go. There's a sequence in everything from nature to behavior, absolutely. Crypto was meant to be degen from this normal sequence, was meant to be abnormal degen. Maybe I'm too hardcore OG. I thought the problem is, Kabir, is order. You get order from chaos. Crypto was chaos, and now we have order. That's the key. You can't have chaos forever. Chaos has to become orderly. There is a really funny thing. If you get 500 nails and you put them in a box, in a cardboard box, 500 nails, and you throw them in, and you shake that box, continuously shake that box for 3 or 4 minutes, do you know what happens? Every single nail in that box lines up. You start with chaos, and then the universe creates order from that chaos. Again, what we want, unfortunately, is not how nature works. That's the problem. We want chaos. We like something that's different. I didn't want the internet to be used by every Tom, Dick and Harry. I wanted the internet to be for the cool kids. 30 years ago. Is it 30 years ago? Yeah, 30 years ago. I wanted the internet to be for the cool kids. I wanted it to be cool for geeks. Talk on ICQ, talk on all these different channels, and then it became mainstream and it got taken over. Crypto is going to follow the same pattern. It was for the cool kids. It's still just about for the cool kids. But the next phase, the expansion phase, is where we get order. And if we didn't get BlackRock, if we didn't get the governments on board, crypto would die. And that's a simple fact. It'd be outlawed. That's the problem. Chaos in order and order in chaos. What a predicament humanity is in, and expressing itself in crypto. Absolutely. Good morning, Bullish Bull. Anyway, that is the end of the show. Thank you, everybody that's just arrived. If you're new here and you're wondering why on earth we are talking about Fibonacci retracements and fib levels, we gave a 10-minute intro to the history of Fibonacci. We gave it some examples of it appearing in nature, and then we drew a chart with the fib levels on it. That's what we were doing today. If we can break 3,800 today, then I expect us to break out. But if we don't, then I expect this. And again, this is my idea. This isn't the hard and fast rule of what is going to happen. But again, if the ETFs wake up and choose war today, then we're going to go to $4,000. We're only 7% away, something like that. We're only 7% away. It is likely that we are going to break $4,000 very soon. Any bit of news that comes out today, it's like a tinderbox at the minute. This is a very dry forest. Ethereum is just waiting to explode, I think. And if we do have some negative news, remember that we have the bull market support band down here, which is currently coming in. I've removed all the lines, haven't I? Right, if I just do this constantly, am I going to get back to the chart? There we go. Right, perfect. So if we do retrace down to the bull market support band, that is coming in at about $3,100. So anything that causes us to nuke today could take us down to $3,100. If it's positive news, then we need to break 4,000. That's it. Break 4,000 is the objective, and that is pretty much it. Last check of comments. Memes equals chaos. 30 goes. I was in the. I'm going to be 50 in October, so I'm not a spring chicken anymore. I'm more one of those turkeys that's got too old to eat, and it just wanders around, waking everybody up in the morning. And that's pretty much what I am. So I will check Venus very quickly before I go. If this is a micro cap, Peter, I'm not going to have heard of it, am I? Let's close some of these things down. Venus Protocol is a community-driven, decentralized protocol delivering best-in-class functionality for crypto, money markets, governance. You've got a really good niche that you've picked out. Not niche, a really good segment of the market that you've picked out. This is a market cap of 165 million, and I've never heard of it. Let's have a little look. Price action. So I take it on April the 15th there was something like a token unlock or something to cause this to tank. How far back do we go? Okay, so it's been through the last bull cycle. It's got to $133 in the last bull run. Wow, that would have been at a market cap of about, what, $1.8 billion? Not bad. Not bad. What I'll do is I'll probably go and make a video on Venus, maybe if I have time. So I will just copy the link, stick that into my notepad, and I will go and have a look at making a video on it. But yeah, I mean, that's not... If we ignore the blow off top, that's not a bad accumulation, price accumulation. And I can only assume that that dip from here either coincides with a Bitcoin retracement or it coincides with a token unlock, because that's quite a dramatic drop. That's a 60% drop, is it? 50% drop, 40% drop, something like that. It's a big drop anyway. I'll go and have a look at it for you. Right, any other comments before I go? I'm a few Fibonacci lines away, Mike. Yeah, we are all a few Fibonacci lines away from getting what we want to get. Right, thanks, Peter. Thank you, everybody, for coming. I will see you all in the morning. Take care. I'll probably drop a video this afternoon at some time. But I'm going to go because I believe my weekly shopping is arriving in about half an hour. So take care, everyone. See you all soon.